What is up, everyone, and welcome to some more F1 24 League Racing, and we are here for round number 9 of Season 4 of the Streamers & Co. VRL, and it is time for the Japanese Grand Prix. I had a difficult time of things last time out at the Brazilian Grand Prix. It was a sprint weekend, and despite the fact that we started in the top 10 for both races and in the points, we ended up falling outside of the points in both of those races due to a raft of tyre strategy issues. So I'm going to hope to bounce back this weekend, and it shouldn't be too difficult this weekend, hopefully, because there are only 13 people racing. It's a slightly lower turnout for the league this time, so I'm hoping that we will be able to get a better result than we had last time out. First qualifying lap now. We're on a fresh set of soft compound tyres, and you can see I'm coming to the final couple of corners here, and I'm hoping that this will be a decent lap time. We'll see what we can do as we cross the line. It's a 1:29.8, puts us P2 for the time being, but definitely there is a lot of improvement in that lap time, and you can see Jermaine has already gone 2 tenths faster than us into a 1:29.6, so I think we should be able to improve on that lap time by a fair amount. And on our second flying lap, you can see we are already about 6 tenths of a second up as we come into the final sector, with still a few corners yet to contend with. Go through 130R, not a bad corner there, and then the final chicane as well. We'll see if we can make up any time through here. Indeed, we have made up over a tenth of a second through there, I think, so this is going to be quite a big improvement. It's going to be a 1:29 flat for us in the second flying lap here in qualifying, and we probably have time to do one more, I would imagine, so we'll see if we can improve on that final flying lap and get ourselves maybe slightly higher up the grid. At the moment, we're currently sat in P4 though, so we're very, very good on the grid at the moment. This has been a decent qualifying for us. We're about 1/10 up going into the final sector as well, but I am 4 tenths down on Ryan McLean in front, so I don't think we're going to be improving our position, but maybe we can just consolidate the position we're currently in, as Harris now goes faster than us as well. What can we do here on the way to the line? It's going to be a 1:28.8, and it will keep us P5. So we'll see if anyone else is going to improve over us at the end of the session here, and as we make our way to the end of the session, you can see it's actually P6, because KK, of all people, improved by about 0.03 of a second towards the end of the session over me, and that was enough to move him up into P5. So yeah, solid qualifying from him. It's Barmy and McLean making it Aston Martin 1-2, Lewis and Ryan in P4, and then KK, myself, Ollie, Liam, Jermaine and Dan, with Mike, Reg and Alex outside the top 10. Reg serving a quali ban, Alex just failing to get a lap time in. But now we are going to be down on the grid, and you can see this is going to be my strategy. We're going to be going onto a set of mediums and then going onto a set of hards. We're doing a medium hard. I've learned from my past mistakes. No stupid soft tyre strategies here today. We are going to be boxing on lap number 10, and we'll see if we can maybe pull off an undercut on a few of the cars in front by doing a slightly earlier stop. But we'll see what we can do as the lights come on. And the lights go out, and I think this has been a decent getaway, although actually, to be fair, I think we're coming under a bit of pressure here from Ollie Matthews potentially, and I had a good getaway there, so I'm not really sure what happened there, but we are going to be able to hold on to at least P6, and actually KK's gone a bit wide through turn 1, and that is maybe going to allow me to think about going for a move through the S's, and indeed, we have probably pulled this one off. Yes, you can see KK's now backed out of it, and so we are up into P5 off the start here, and we'll see if we can stay with these guys in front, the likes of Barmy, McLean, Lewis and Harris. However, they might just be a tiny bit too fast for me to really contend with. I think that these guys are typically the people who are sort of in the upper levels of the race, most races, and I don't tend to be around them. So I'm just hoping that we can have at least a somewhat decent race. Maybe if we can consolidate the position we're in. But remember, we've got a fast charging Alex who failed to qualify. We'll see if he's going to make anything happen for him today, see if he can get past us. Obviously, he had that DNF in Belgium, but then came through and had a very good race in the previous race. So we'll see whether we can do anything with this or not, but we might still lose a few positions yet. Liam as well, obviously, is a fairly fast driver. Maybe, lost his mojo a tiny bit since his race ban a few races back. I can't even remember which race it was that he missed now. I think it might have been Belgium, but since then he's not looked super on the pace, at least compared to some of the other cars. But we'll see whether his pace is going to be good enough to beat me here today. Somebody whose pace might be good enough to beat me here today is actually KK, You know, he looked electric in qualifying, and now he's looking for a move up my inside into the first few corners. And actually, as we make our way through turn 1, I went just a tiny bit too wide on the exit of the corner, and that is going to allow KK to make his way through, racing on the NBS Racing account. Of course, if you haven't watched my video for the first round of NBS Racing last time out, go and check that one out. I was on commentary for that one, and it was a blast. So yeah, hopefully you guys will enjoy that one as well. But KK, the owner of that league, which is why he's racing under that name now. And we make our way now onto lap number 3, and we're going to see if we can get back past KK here potentially as we make our way down to 130R. But it's actually Liam looking to go for a move into 130R up the inside. That's a very bold move from Liam, but we gave him the space. He's kept his foot in, and now we're going to have to go to the inside at the chicane, and that is going to cause us to take a very poor run through there. And as a result of that, Liam is actually going to get ahead of us. So my estimation that he would potentially be able to get ahead of us has seemed to come true here today, and now I think Alex is potentially going to look to go for a move here as well. Alex making his way up into P7, knocking us down into P8, and hopefully we won't lose too many more positions from here, because you know, 13 car grid, I was hoping for a bit better than this, but you have to remember that a lot of the people who are missing are people who typically I would maybe be slightly faster than. You know, the likes of RC is one of the drivers who I reckon that you know, I would potentially have been able to finish ahead of, and he's not racing today. So just because it seems like a smaller grid, there are actually quite a few drivers on the grid who realistically, you know, in a typical race I probably would have been beating anyway. So we will see whether we can get ahead of KK and move ourselves back up into P7. We have got Reg behind us as well, and he's not a slow driver by any stretch of the imagination. I'd say we've got quite similar pace, so it remains to be seen whether I will be able to keep him behind or not, especially as KK going very slowly through the chicane there, holding me up quite a lot. We're going to see if we can get past him now with the DRS. We are going to have it on this lap, but Reg is going to have the DRS behind on me. Is he going to think about going for a move down into turn 1? I think he is, actually, and that was pretty close, as KK once again has a bit of a snap there, and that is going to allow us to look for a move up the inside. And we actually get a track limits warning for going a bit too far over the curb there. No idea how I managed to get on the curb that much, and it didn't spit me out and put me into a spin, but yeah, unfortunately couldn't quite pull the move off on KK on this occasion. But we are now going to speed through lap number 5 because we are right on his tail. He's unfortunately kind of held us up so much now that we have fallen off a little bit off the back of the likes of Liam and Alex in front. So yeah, this is really not good for my race right now, and you can see just how much I'm closing him up in the final sector here, even in the straights, and I'm not running a top speed setup today, so this is kind of incredible that I'm maybe losing this much to him in the gaining this much on him in the you know, the straights, because I'm running I think I'm running a 46 front wing here today. So yeah, I was quite surprised to see that was the kind of pace I had, and it means that in the straights with the DRS I'm able to blitz past KK on this occasion. We actually get on the curb a little bit and have a bit of an oversteer moment there, but we managed to catch it and everything is just fine. So we're up into P7 for the time being. Reg, though, has also made his way past KK, and could Reg potentially put a bit of pressure on us now, maybe fight his way through for P7 here today, or maybe even better than that if there are any incidents in front. I think ultimately that might be what it comes down to as we make our way onto the end of lap number 7 and the start of lap number 8. You can see that Reg is very, very close behind me, close enough to go for a move with the DRS, and by the time we get to the first corner, Reg is going to be fully in front of me, and that will be P7 claimed for Reg, pushing us down to P8. But we have managed to stay with him to the end of the lap. We'll see now if we can get back past him on this lap with the DRS. It should be fairly trivial, I would imagine, and you can see as we make our way down to turn 1, we are going to be about a car length in front going into turn 1. We go a little bit deep into the exit of the corner, so yeah, unfortunately we don't pull away from Reg as much as I would have liked to, but I am going to frustrate him a little bit by using my battery through that sector to hold him up a little bit. And you can see as we make our way onto lap number 10, once again he's still in my DRS range. I definitely haven't pulled away from him, and I think he's going to go for the move once again into turn 1. So swapping places a lot, myself and Reg now, but we'll see whether he boxes at the end of this lap or not, because if he doesn't, then we might be able to potentially go for a bit of an undercut on him. Maybe not so much if we keep braking too deep into some of these corners, but we make our way into the pit lane. We're going to make sure that we stop before we get a speeding penalty, and unfortunately we have got a speeding penalty. It's super frustrating. I felt like that was very, very close. I'm not sure exactly how fast I was going. I think it's a 49 or 50 mile an hour limit in the pit lane, and I can't have been more than about 53 or something like that. I even tested it in qualifying, and I was like, right, I need to brake earlier than I braked in qualifying, because I did get a warning when I was doing qualifying, and unfortunately it still wasn't enough, and we still got the speeding penalty. So yeah, immensely frustrating, but we're just gonna have to get our head down now and try and pull a 10-second gap on as many cars as we can behind to ensure that we can still get some points here today. As Reg is coming into the pits, we're going to see whether we would have undercut him now. Not that it's going to matter anymore, because obviously we got that 10-second time penalty, so things are going to be pretty irrelevant. But yeah, Reg is still ahead of us. We have managed to close back into a 1-second gap to him, but I mean, this is all going to be for pride now. We're not going to be able to pull a 10-second gap on Reg. I think now ultimately my aim is going to be to get ahead of KK, I think. See if I can break that 10-second gap to him with 15 laps left to go. I think pulling out 5 seconds on him isn't going to be too hard. Also the likes of Jermaine and Dan as well, who is a reserve driver racing for the first time this weekend. Those guys, if I can gap those guys by about 10 seconds, that would be good as well. Because at the moment, if all of those guys finish ahead of me, we won't even be scoring points here this weekend. We're currently running in P8 after everyone has boxed. And as we make our way onto lap number 15, we might be close enough to Reg to think about going for a move on him here. Ultimately, this is just a move for pride, but you know, you never know. If there's a safety car, or if he gets a penalty at some point as well, you know, you can see Liam got a speeding penalty in the pit lane as well. So if Reg were to get some sort of penalty as well, this wouldn't be a completely foregone conclusion. Make our way onto lap number 19 now, so we've sped ahead quite a significant amount. And I actually allowed Reg to go through there. That's because I didn't do a great job of saving my battery on lap 19, and what that meant is that I wouldn't have been able to keep him behind through the DRS zone. And so what I tried to do was I tried to make it a bit of a DRS chicken type situation, where I'd be right on his tail going into the DRS zone and maybe be able to re-overtake him in the DRS, but we just weren't quite close enough to make that happen. But I said, okay, it's fine, we'll just stay with him and we'll see if we're going to overtake him in the next DRS zone. But as you're going to see over the course of this lap, the problem with that is that I actually almost lost a second to Reg here on this lap. Partly that was because I was saving battery in the first sector, and that allowed Reg to break away by quite a significant margin. And as we get to the DRS detection point, he was about 1.03 seconds ahead of me, so I am not going to have the DRS here, and that is potentially going to have cost me P7 on track. Ultimately, it's not going to make too much of a difference. The gap behind to Jermaine currently 7.8 seconds, with KK running a 3-second penalty, so he's you know, not really a threat for me. Dan, I think, is about 10 or 11 seconds down on me as well. Jermaine now has picked up a penalty as well. So I think that we haven't got too much to worry about, as long as we can maintain these gaps behind and maybe even extend them a little bit. But I think the battle with Reg here today is going to be basically over, and it's just going to be about focusing on looking at the gap behind to the likes of Jermaine and KK, because if they can get within 7 seconds of me, then obviously this one's not a completely foregone conclusion for us. Jermaine has had a bit of an incident there. I think him and KK had a bit of contact at Degnum 1, which is going to ruin Jermaine's race and also hold up KK a little bit. That's shown me what the gap to Dan is. It's currently 11.2 seconds, so he's got 5 laps to close up about a second to me. That's very doable if he's got the pace to do it, so we're going to have to push like hell on these last few laps to ensure that that doesn't happen, because the last thing I want is to lose the position to someone like Dan on the final lap. You know, I want to hold on to this P8. It's already not great that I'm all the way down in P8 out of only 13 cars on track this weekend. You know, we're in the bottom half, which, you know, if there'd been a full grid of 20, you could extrapolate that to say I probably would not have been in the points here today, which is not really what I would have wanted. So as we make our way onto lap 26, we're just going to speed through there. You can see the gap right now is still over 10 seconds to Dan, but right now I was kind of getting a bit distracted by Ollie, who was a full lap down. I think he was almost 2 laps down actually, because he was kind of mucking about on track and not really taking the race very seriously, and that meant that he was quite far down on the rest of the field. So yeah, that kind of distracted me a little bit. He wasn't really obeying the blue flags that he was getting either, which was frustrating me a little bit, and that was causing me to lose a bit of time, which would have meant that I think if I hadn't been losing that time, it's possible that I would have been a lot further ahead of Dan than I currently am. I think I probably lost about half a second to him on the course of last lap, but the good news is that he didn't really You know, he didn't really make the most of the fact that I'd lost that time. I think he could have easily gained more on me on that lap, possibly. We'll see as we make our way into Spoon Curve on the final lap now. We've only got one sector to go. Lewis has picked up the victory here today. It was a good result from him, and you know, I'm sure he'll be very happy to extend his championship lead. He's had a bit of time away, came back last weekend after a couple of weeks off, and was able to fight for the victory. Didn't end up picking it up in the end, but had a pretty decent race still. Picked up some solid points, but we are going to round the final corner, and we have just managed to hold on to this gap, 2 down behind, 10.3 seconds. It will be enough for us to hold on to P8 here today. Liam, obviously, with that 10-second penalty being pushed down behind Reg. Annoying to see that he was 9.7 seconds ahead of me, so had I not had that 10-second time penalty, we would actually have maybe been potentially as P7 here today. But you know, it's not the end of the world. It's 2 points difference. I'm just happy to be back in the points after a difficult race last weekend. We'll continue building what we've been building this season. I think that takes us to 48 points in the championship. We scored more than we have in the previous 2 seasons now, which I'm very happy with. But you know, could have been a bit more for us here potentially today. It was Lewis who ended up picking up the victory, with Barmy closing in P2. Very solid result from him once again. Back-to-back P2s in this league for Barmy. And then it was actually Alex who made his way through all the way from P13 on the grid to P3 at the flag. Very solid result from him. Ran out of fuel at the end. He said it would have been P2 possibly without that. So yeah, I'm sure he'll be pretty happy with what's happened here today. And then it was Harris P4, McLean P5, Reg P6, Liam P7, myself P8, Dan P9 and Jermaine in P10, with KK, Mike and Ollie failing to finish in the points. Ollie 2 laps down on the rest of the field. A difficult race for him, but one that I'm sure if he'd taken a bit more seriously, maybe he could have done a bit better. That is going to be it for this video, however, so if you enjoyed, please make sure you like and subscribe, and hopefully I will see you in the next one.